Let us just take one quick look at what's happening in Venezuela, okay? Remember, we had Hugo Chavez. Now we've got this guy Maduro. He's trying to basically destroy the Constitution. The people are coming out. They're holding plebiscites. They're rioting. Over 100 people were killed recently in riots. Let us just not forget, okay, this is socialism. There's this Congresswoman, Ilana Rose Lehtinen. She was on the Bret Baier show last night. It was sad. She was thanking Bret Baier for having her on because no one will listen to her. And she's calling for sanctions, and she's talking about what happened in Venezuela, right, in our hemisphere, because of socialism. Listen to this.
Venezuela, you've got to remember, all of you viewers, was one of the richest, most productive, most powerful countries, freest countries in all of Latin America. It was the breadbasket for Latin America. Now they don't even have wheat, they don't have milk, they don't have diapers, they don't have medicine. It's a basket case. So it went from a breadbasket to a basket case. Why? Because socialism and communism does not work. And so the people are saying, what is ahead for us? And that's why I respect what they're doing. They're demonstrating peacefully in the streets, but they're also going to the ballot boxes and they're saying yes. So they're doing everything. Now it's up to us in the United States to sanction those human rights abusers in Venezuela and say, I know you like to come to Disney World and visit Mickey Mouse. Well, guess what? If you trample on people's human rights, you're not going to be able to come to the U.S. We're going to freeze your bank accounts. We're going to confiscate your luxury condos and your yachts, and you decide, treat the people with respect, or you will not be able to come to the United States.
Okay. Now, Trump is backing this. He's saying he's threatening sanctions and all this stuff. You know, the Democrats are always screaming, if you pass this, if you do this, people will die. People are dying. They are dying in Venezuela because of socialism, because of Hugo Chavez and now his inheritor, Maduro. Is that? Yeah, Maduro. Now, I just want these are the people in our country that we are fighting against. Let's start from the outside, okay? We're going to start from the outside, the radicals, and move our way in. Let's remember what Sean Penn said about Hugo Chavez as he went over and slapped his back and shook his hand and supported this.
He is one of the most important forces we've had on this planet.
Él es una de las fuerzas más importantes que tenemos todos en este planeta.
And I will wish him nothing but that great strength he has shown over and over again.
Y yo no deseo nada más que esa inmensa fuerza que él tiene siga derramándose sobre todos nosotros.
I do it in love.
En el amor.
And I do it in gratitude.
Y lo hago con gratitud.
So I just want to say that from my very American point of view.
Quiero decir desde mi muy americano punto de vista.
Of my friend President Chavez.
A mi amigo el presidente Hugo Chávez.
It is only possible to be so inspiring as he is, as a two-way street.
Solamente es imposible no estar inspirado con su ejemplo.
And he would say that his inspiration is the people.
So, all right, so you can say that's Sean Penn, and then they give him, he is basically standing there worshiping at the shrine of a dictator, of the worst kind of oppressive dictator. That's Sean Penn. Doesn't stop him from getting an Oscar. If that was a right-wing dictator, you can bet he would be out of the movie business. He's not out of the movie business. He's easy to cast. He's going to win awards. He deserves awards. He's a great actor. But that is what Hollywood is selling. It's selling it in the War of the Planet of the Apes. It's selling it every day in their messages. But let's move closer to the center. Let's move. Here is Bill Maher interviewing Bernie, right, about socialism and how great it is, how well it works.
My question to you, I guess, is the word socialist. I want to get right to this because I want to help your campaign. I want to see you get the nomination. I want to see you get we have to teach Americans what this is.
We do.
And I don't know if we're doing that yet.
Okay.
I don't think most Americans realize they're already socialists.
In certain respects. Okay. Let's start off with what it is not what we want to change. We want to deal with the grotesque level of income and wealth inequality in America. Very few people think it is acceptable or moral that the top 1/10 of 1% owns almost as much wealth as the bottom 90%. that we have seen a proliferate.
But see, Bernie, you always say that, and I think even the Republicans are not for income inequality. They hear that, but it doesn't compute that that's going to be solved by socialism. Socialism is the programs they already like. They like Social Security. That's socialism. But they like Medicare. They like the VA. They like the military.
No, that's exactly right.
It's already a socialist country.
See, this is the pernicious argument that once you have a welfare state, this is the pernicious argument you're going to have. You like these programs. You already sold part of your freedom for these programs for free stuff. Why not sell all of your freedom for free stuff? I hear leftists say to me when I go off about regulations, they always say, well, you want your meat inspected, don't you? I want my meat inspected, but I don't want the lake in back of my house to be regulated as a waterway for the EPA to tell me when I can cut a tree down or when I can, build something. I don't want to have to get a permit. I don't want to have to ask the government for permission to live, which is basically what they want, what socialism is. But so that is a mainstream, a guy who almost would have won probably the Democratic nomination if they hadn't plotted against him. That's a guy, remember all those kids we saw yesterday saying socialism is great? I don't know what it is, but it's great. But here's the thing. Venezuela is about Cuba. And this is something that nobody is talking about. Venezuela, what happened in Venezuela was engineered by Cuba and is being held in place by Cuba. They want. Let me read. I'll read it from Mary Anastasia O'Grady. There have been a lot of articles about this recently, but Mary O'Grady, who I hope we'll have on the show soon, is the Wall Street Journal columnist about South America. Okay, and she says, Cubans, not Venezuelans, control the levers of power. Havana doesn't care about Venezuelan poverty or famine or whether the regime is unpopular. It has spent a half-century sowing its ideological revolution in South America. It needs Venezuela as a corridor to run Colombian cocaine to the U.S. and to Africa to supply Europe. It also relies heavily on cut-rate Venezuelan petroleum, which brings us to oil and energy, okay? This is what tyranny runs on. This is what the Arab tyrannies run on, the Muslim tyrannies run on. It is what Putin's tyranny runs on. It is what Cuba and Venezuela, their tyrannies run on oil. And the guy who has unleashed fracking, who has cut back on regulations so we can produce more energy and bring our energy levels up and start to export energy, is Donald Trump. It's the right that wants to do this. On the left, these environmental agencies, these environmental organizations that fight against fracking, that fight against oil, all of them, they're funded by Putin. Putin pushes dollars into them. George Soros pushes dollars into them. And Al Gore is their spokesman, and he comes on TV and they worship him. And he's got his new movie coming out, the Inconvenient sequel. I think it's called Everything I Said Was Untrue. Is that the new? No, maybe that's not it. Is it even more inconvenient truth or something? So play the first Al Gore cut. He's on the Today Show.
First of all, the climate-related extreme weather events have become more destructive and a lot more common. Here in the U.S., we've had 11 once-in-a-thousand-year downpours just in the last 7 years.
So we've had 11 once-in-a-thousand-year downpours. So now global warming is causing the rain to fall, the small rain down to fall. When did we start measuring rainfall? 1,000 years ago? 1,000 years ago? Is that when we started measuring rainfall in the year 1000? I remember it was the monk Al Gorius, who was measuring rainfall 1,000 years ago. So, he doesn't even know what he's talking. He just says stuff. It's just stuff comes out of his mouth.